Okay, plant hormones are notoriously tricky because it's not really visible, as you can see them happening, like chemical adrenaline and stuff like that. But it's also that they're quite slow acting, so you'll only see the effects over long periods of time. Three key ones we're going to look at are auxin, that's the main one, gibberellins, which are important in seed germination, and also ethane, which controls ripening of the fruit. Before we look at those, though, we've got to see how plants respond to stimuli around them. It's often misunderstood that plants don't actually sense the environment. They do very well. The main one they respond to is gravity, but they can respond to light, water, chemicals, all sorts of things. Some plants even respond to stimuli like touch, leaves drooping or closing up for protection. Venus flytrap is a famous example of this. However, plants do not have a nervous system. They have no nervous response. There's no impulses traveling through them. They do have a very, very rudimentary electrical signaling system, but it's not a nervous system in any sense or means. And like I said, plants respond to light, which is phototropism. They respond to gravity, or geotropism. I prefer geotropism. It's easy to remember and easy to say. And also there is water with hydrotropism. Now, plants respond in ways to these stimuli by either going towards or away from. But tropism is the key bit there. Tropism means growth movement. They don't move like we do, moving our arms or legs to move around, to move towards something. They grow towards or away from something. So tropism is defined as growth movement. It's a bit like if you were reaching for the remote control. Instead of reaching for it using your muscles, you just grew the cells to get a longer arm until you could reach it. So they grow in response to a directional stimuli. And photo is towards light. Geotropism is usually with gravity, so they can get to essential ions and water within the soil. Tropism is linked intrinsically with auxin. Auxin controls the growth movement. The word hormone actually is completely incorrect when we're looking at plants. They're actually plant growth factors, but they were misnamed as hormones, so it's kind of stuck. Biological reason for this is plants do not have glands. They don't have an endocrine system. So there's no way they could actually produce hormones as we know them. So the correct term for them is plant growth factors, but we do call them plant hormones, especially at GCSE. And like I said, the three main ones are auxins, gibberellins, and ethene. They have all sorts of different effects. The plant on the left has had auxin provided for it. You can see it's grown very tall, whereas the one on the right has not had auxin. It's been deprived of auxin, and it has hardly grown at all. They're the same species of plant, just the only thing that was different for these two plants was the amount of auxin they got. It will massively affect the tissue and the growth of the plant because the auxin has different effects on different plant organs, which is another problem people have. They don't realize the shoots and the roots are different organs. So what we have here is the plant seed represented by the black circle and the shoot and the root that's growing out of it. Now you've got to remember the top of the screen is where the soil surface is. So this is all below ground. So the plant can't detect light, but beyond the meristem, auxin is being produced evenly in both the shoots and the roots, but because gravity will cause it to settle in this direction, on both the root and the shoot, we will end up with a buildup of auxin at the base or the underside of the root and the shoot. It'll basically settle with gravity and build up here. So we end up with this big accumulation. And the really interesting thing is auxin has different effects on roots and shoots. We'll focus on the shoots first, then look at the roots. In the shoot, auxin has different effects. On the side where there's a lot of auxin, it'll grow very rapidly. So we'll end up with very rapid growth of cells there. And the top side of the plant, it will grow normally. So it'll grow at a normal rate. This has the effect of making one side try and race away from the other. But because they're linked together, because they're cells, the whole stem will turn upwards and will end up with then it facing up towards the soil surface, and auxin will be made evenly through this section here and will settle evenly with gravity. So we'll end up with rapid upward growth towards the soil surface and towards the light. In the root, it has the opposite effect. Auxin actually slows growth. So this side will grow very slowly as opposed to this side, which will be growing normally. So the top will try and race away from the bottom. This has the effect that the root will end up bending downwards to go with gravity. And now auxin will be produced evenly in the root, and will settle with gravity evenly in this direction. And we end up with a slow downward growth of roots. This is why roots grow quite slowly, shoots grow quite quickly. This effect can be seen here, and please refer to other material to make sure you understand this fully. When the shoot breaks the surface, auxin is pumped to the shaded side of the stem, and that causes that side to grow rapidly whilst the other side is growing quite slowly, and it ends up causing the shoot to bend towards the light. This is only really important when light is coming in from one direction. If it's all round or is got no predominant single direction, the plant will go relatively normally. So here's our example with light coming in from one side, the right hand side here, and the shoot has broken the surface of the soil, which is the black line, so it needs to bend towards the light to maximize its photosynthetic chances. So auxin is being made evenly in the shoot at the moment, but the plant pumps this to the shaded side. So there's a build-up of auxin on the shaded side here. This side has accumulation of auxin and the other side does not. So what we've got is we've got the growth promoter on the shaded side and normal growth occurring on the non-shaded side. So what happens is this side grows very rapidly, this side grows normally, and again, because they're intrinsically linked together, the cells are linked, they can't separate, the whole shoot will bend towards the light, and then it'll be able to send its leaves out and it'll maximize its chances of capturing light. So hopefully that makes sense, and you can see how auxin influences the plant cells. Remember, shoots and roots are different organs. They're affected in different ways. It's a bit like your arms and legs look kind of the same but do different things. The roots and shoots definitely do different things. So to highlight that, I've just made a few notes. So it's produced in the tip, evenly distributes down the shoot, but the light causes it to move via active transport to the shaded side, where it starts to accumulate on the shaded side. This promotes cell elongation, cellular growth, so it causes it to grow faster on that side than the side towards the light, and the whole shoot will then bend towards the light. And auxin has the opposite effect on roots. Auxin has got many other things it can do. It can be used to promote cellular growth for cuttings. So if you cut a branch off a tree, say, you can actually dip it in auxin and there's a potential for it to send out new roots. It's actually used as a weed killer. So excessive amounts of auxin kill weeds. Grass doesn't get so badly affected by it because it's got thin bladed leaves, whereas dandelions and things like that have got large leaves, larger surface area, so more auxin hits them. And what happens is it actually causes massive cellular growth. The plant can't keep up with the energy demand of growth, so it effectively grows itself to death. That's why weed killer takes several weeks to work, and plants actually get bigger before they die. But it does have an amazing effect. So spreading it on the lawn will kill the dandelions, but will keep the grass nice and healthy. Auxin allows the roots to grow down with gravity. It also makes the cells on the shaded side elongate, as we've looked at already. Gibberellin helps with seed sprouting, it helps with germination. That and water both trigger germination. And also gibberellin is another growth hormone, so it helps with the promotion of cell division and elongation. Auxin is used to produce fruit with no seeds or pips, so seedless grapes, for example, and it also helps them to spray flowers that have not been pollinated so they actually can then bloom, so you can get them from florists and that sort of thing. So auxin is a very, very versatile hormone. Ethin's only real role we need to know about is it helps fruit ripen. So fruit will ripen due to the presence of ethin. They often spray bananas with ethin once they want to put them onto the shelves to promote them to start to ripen. So they pick them when they're green, seal them up, and then release ethin into them, and that actually promotes the ripening so they start to turn yellow a lot quicker. And auxin and gibberellin work hand in hand to stimulate fruit development. And just a quick factoid to finish off on, there are loads and loads and loads of other plant hormones, and I've included two here because I think they're quite interesting. You've got another cell division promoter, and plants that are losing their leaves in winter use a particular hormone to slow metabolism down so it doesn't actually kill them. It actually helps with the removal of leaves and slows their metabolism right down so they don't effectively starve to death during the months where there's very little light, so very little photosynthesis can occur. Anyway, hope that helps. Bye.